As you know, podcasting can be complicated and time consuming, but having the right tools can help simplify and speed up the process. In today's episode, I'm going to introduce you to 4 features of Riverside FM that have been enormous time savers and big time game changers for me, and will have you podcasting like a pro in no time. Let's get into it. Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Good Podcasting, where we cover everything you need to know about podcasting, whether you're new to the game or just looking to level up your content. My name's Brian. I'm a podcast editor, producer, and podcast consultant, and my goal is to help you create, launch, and grow your podcast. If you're interested in any of the services that I can provide, just visit me at summitcitystudios.com. Now, let's talk about Riverside. This is a tool that I use on the daily that has not only simplified my workflow, but has saved me hours of tedious work each and every week. And they continue to add new features that, quite honestly, I never knew I needed. So today I want to share 4 of the latest features that I'm most excited about. The first is the Teleprompter. Riverside's built-in teleprompter allows you to copy and paste your script, some simple notes, or even a few interview questions, and displays them front and center on your screen, which allows you to, seemingly at least, maintain eye contact with your guest or your co-host while never losing track of your next thought. The teleprompter gives you options to adjust the size and the weight of the font so it's easier to see, as well as the speed of the scroll. It's smooth, it's effortless, and it allows you to be more engaged and look more professional by never diverting your eyes too far from the camera or your words too far from the script that you had planned. All you have to do is copy your notes, the script, or bullet points into the teleprompter, set your speed, and you're off to the races. If you're interested in trying it out and exploring any of the other features that Riverside has to offer, there's a link in the description. Just click that, use code GOODPODCASTING at checkout, and you'll receive 15% off of your subscription. Now, the second new feature I'm excited to tell you about is the show notes generator. This is one of the newest AI features of Riverside, and it's truly a cheat code when it comes to creating quality, detailed, and maybe most importantly, searchable show notes for your podcast. I used to spend hours writing descriptions, highlighting key topics, and adding timestamps that would allow listeners to find the part of the conversation that they were most interested in, but thankfully, that's no longer necessary. Now I can simply press a button, receive some of the most detailed show notes I've ever seen, complete with the list of key topics, as well as the timestamps where listeners can find them. Now, if I'm being honest, I do a little editing of those show notes and adjusting the timestamps, but it's really just to make sure it's the content that I want to highlight in my podcast. But it's a far cry from just a few weeks ago when I was writing them all on my own. Next on the list of new features is Riverside's speaker detection. So not only do you get a highly accurate transcript of your podcast, you now also get that transcript parsed out by speaker, complete with timestamps and the speaker's name listed right next to it. This feature has really saved me a lot of time because it's allowed me to find specific sections of my recordings faster, those sections that I either wanted to cut out completely or highlight and use for social media. I've also found it useful to be able to isolate a speaker's track because it's helped me to be able to fine-tune the edit just a little bit more. And the final feature I want to share with you in this episode is the one that allows you to isolate and edit individual speaker tracks without throwing off the rest of the recording. It's called Multitrack Sync, and it ensures that an edit to one track is made on every single track. And this is really to ensure that everything's aligned in those tracks in the final recording. Now, this may seem like such a simple thing, but I can't tell you how many times I've edited a single track of a multi-track recording only to realize that I either had to go back and meticulously find those same locations on every other track and do the same thing to ensure alignment of our audio, or start the whole thing over. And there's nothing worse than getting right to the end of editing an episode and realizing you have to undo everything you've just done and start over. You know what that music means? It's time for a segment that I like to call Good Questions, where I take questions sent in from my audience. Now, today's question is, do you record in one shot or do you record in segments? Well, for me, the answer to that question is pretty easy, because for a show like mine, I prefer to do it in one take. Now, that doesn't mean I don't make mistakes and I don't need to reshoot or re-edit sections of the podcast, because Lord knows I've done that so many times just in this episode. But for someone who has drastically different segments, or they prefer to break up their segments with some sort of transition or audio stingers, recording in segments might actually be the best option, especially if it's a longer form show. And here's why. Because filming in sections could give you the opportunity to grab a snack, walk the dog, take a break, stand up and stretch, grab a cup of coffee, or even take a couple days off between segments. Because the truth is, no one will ever know. If you have a question about podcasting or would like to know more about how I can help you launch your very own show, leave me a note in the comments or reach out to me via the social links in the description. And finally, once again, if you're interested in any of the great features that Riverside FM has to offer and you'd like to try it out, just click the link in the description and use the code GOODPODCASTING to receive 15% off of your subscription. That'll do it for today. I'll talk to you again soon.